Hello everyone, I'm making this second video about the ecological situation in Russia just to give you a little bit more information about the work that I've asked you to do at home. So the ecological situation in Russia, we know that by ecology we're talking about the study of the relationship between living things and the earth, and here we're talking mainly about our relationship, our human relationship with the planet. Before going on to look at the relationship in detail, there are some important facts about Russia that we need to be clear about, and these facts are listed on this second slide. First of all, Russia has 11% of the world's landmass. Russia's lakes and rivers contain nearly a quarter, nearly 25% of the world's fresh water. Russia has 20% of the world's forests. In Russia itself, 65% of the territory is covered by permafrost. Russia's coastline is more than 37,000 kilometers long, and much of that coastline is inside the Arctic Circle. And finally, Russia has just under 2% of the world's population. So bear these facts in mind, because I'm going to return to these facts later in this video. More important facts about Russia. These are facts which give us an idea about the ecological impact of human society in this country. First of all, Russia has 19% of the world's coal reserves, has 24% of the gas reserves, and 5% of its oil reserves. Now, Russia itself produces only about 5% at the most of the world's greenhouse gases. 64% of Russia's electricity, of course, is produced by thermal power. That is the burning of gas, coal and oil, which are major contributors to climate change and global warming. 5% of Russia's economy is agricultural, but 33%, 1/3 of Russia's economy, is still industrial. Russia's economy has been growing. It grew, for example, by 2.3% in 2018. And it's fair to bear in mind that when economies grow, the total quantity of greenhouse gases tends to increase, and the ecological impact of the economy tends to become bigger. Russia also, as we know, is a great producer of metal ores. 6% of the world's iron ore is produced in Russia, 16% of its aluminium is manufactured here, and 14% of its nickel. And we know that because of the sheer amount of energy that these industries consume, that these industries can have a major negative impact on the environment. The chemical industry accounts for 3.7% of Russia's economy, and this is another industry which, because of the problems of waste and because of the amount of energy that the industry uses, can have a very powerful and negative effect on the economy. A quick survey of Russia's cities shows that 143 Russian cities experience significant levels of air pollution, mainly as a result of industrial activity. So what conclusions can we reach from the evidence that I've presented so far? Well, first of all, Russia's enormous natural resources, particularly its resources of forests and its resources of fresh water, have tremendous global importance. Secondly, because Russia is such an enormous country, what happens to Russia will have a big impact on the ecology of the world. It takes up such a large proportion of the world's territory that what happens here is bound to be an important part of the global picture of ecological change. Thirdly, what Russia chooses to do with its mineral resources in the future will have a huge impact on the world. How much of those resources will be used? how much of the fossil fuels, such as oil, gas, and coal, will be burnt, how many metal ores will be extracted from the ground and processed for use at home or exported. And future changes in world ecology, for example, changes in global temperature, will have a huge impact on Russia. What about the specific ecological threats that Russia faces? Well, I've divided this up into 5 categories, as you can see. First of all, Russia's forests. Russia's forests, as I discussed in the last video, are threatened by a number of things, mainly deforestation, that is the cutting down of the forests without those trees being replaced by new planting. And the second threat that faces forests is air pollution. Maybe we can also add to that the threat of rising temperatures causing increasing numbers of wildfires in Russia's forests, which, if they're not managed effectively, could become a greater and greater problem in the future. Secondly, the threat to fresh water. Fresh water in Russia, well, we know it's plentiful. We know that, for example, 20% of the world's fresh water is found in Lake Baikal alone. Well, fresh water in Russia is threatened with water pollution from industry, water pollution from agricultural waste, and the impact of chemical fertilizers on the water. Fresh water is also threatened by global warming. The melting of mountain glaciers could put in danger the future supply of water to Russia's rivers. If the mountain glaciers disappear, what happens, for example, to the rivers which have their origins in the mountains of southern Siberia? Clean air. As we've already said, clean air is threatened by air pollution, by the burning of fossil fuels, by the burning of oil, gas, and coal, by factories and motor vehicles. Now, permafrost. I've already mentioned that a huge percentage of Russia's land is covered in permafrost. And permafrost is extremely susceptible to the impact of global warming, climate change, in different ways. For example, the melting of the permafrost could lead to a massive release of greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, which could have a dramatic effect on global temperatures. Melting permafrost, in more local terms, can lead to land subsidence. As the active layer of permafrost gets deeper, the foundations of buildings, of roads, of railways, of oil drilling platforms could be damaged. And all of these structures could require extensive repair at a potential cost of billions of rubles. It's even been suggested that the melting of permafrost could lead to the release of pathogens, of diseases, of bacteria, which at the moment are safely covered in ice within the bodies of dead animals, dead humans. But if the permafrost disappears, then all of these disease threats would be released into the atmosphere. Biological material, bacteria could be released into the river system, for instance, and that could have a dramatic effect on the quality of drinking water in the country. And finally, the coastline of Russia is threatened by rising sea levels. If, for example, climate change leads to the warming of the Arctic region, the dramatic warming of the Arctic region, it is possible that the melting of Arctic ice could lead to dramatic rise in sea levels in Russia's coastal seas, and Russia's extensive coastline could be threatened by large-scale flooding. So, as I said earlier, Russia has the ability to make a huge difference to the ecological quality of life in the future. It has these tremendous resources. It has enormous forests. It has enormous quantities of fresh water. These resources can be seriously damaged by the human impact on the planet, but not just the human impact here in Russia. These resources could be seriously affected by the impact of global activity, by the global industry, global pollution, and global warming. Okay, so these are some of the factors that I wanted to bring to your attention, and hopefully this video will help you a little bit more to get to grips with the work that I've set you to do this week. So goodbye for now, and I will make another video soon to give you some more assistance to do the homework. Well, thank you for now. Bye bye.